And a good Thursday afternoon, Canes family. What's going on? It's your boy John Michaels here on Canesware TV. It's in time for another episode of our daily State of Miami Live right here on Canesware TV. Always brought to you by our good friends at Canesware. You can follow them online at Canesware. You can download the Canesware app right now. We'll put the QR code up here in just a moment. When you download that Canesware app, you can do all kinds of stuff, including getting 10% off your next order. When you want to order some new merch, no better place if you're a Canes fan or a part of Canes family than at Canesware, because I can tell you right now, Brett and his crew will have everything you need to get you geared up for the college football season, as we are just 15 days away from Miami and Stanford getting ready to get the season underway on Friday night in Palo Alto, California. You guys can be a part of the program at all time throughout the comment page. We'll put those up. We'll interact with you throughout. We got a lot we're going to get into today, and today is going to be the first controversial show of the program. And don't forget, like and subscribe to Canesware TV. The more you guys like, the more subscriptions you get, the more views that we have, the more programming that's going to be coming on this channel, because we want to grow this where it is literally wall-to-wall Canes programming all the time. Wall-to-wall Canes programming, especially with a national title contender like Miami is this year. So make sure you like, subscribe, pass it along to all your friends. If you share it on social media, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it may be, do that as well. You can follow me as always at John Michaels U. John Michaels U. The letter U, you know what that U stands for all the time. But some of the stuff we're going to get into today that's going to be a little bit controversial. The first part, not going to be controversial. We're going to break down the running back room here for the University of Miami. You'll hear some stuff about Mark Fletcher, what was said there. We'll hear from our offensive coordinator in Shannon Dawson, what his ideas are for this upcoming season, how he can make things better as we continue our position preview. But then we're going to get into our inaugural Thursday top five, and we're going to try to do this each and every week. And we may even take recommendations from you guys to set up top fives throughout. But I saw it started with, I think the guy's name was Pigskin Petey, Petey Pigskin. I don't know. I'm trying to look up right now exactly what his name was. Yeah, it was Pigskin Petey. He put out a list of the best Miami follows. And I half jokingly didn't joke when I said, hey, man, you forgot to put me on there. And he goes, I don't know you. You don't interact with me on social media. And it had to do with a lot of how his interactions have gone via social media, how he put that list together. Then my buddy Canes Chief put together a top 100 Miami fans. And guess what? There were still people that were left off there, and he got upset about it. So I'm going to pare it down to 5. And I don't care if you guys get mad at me. I did an article, I think, 6 or 7 years ago on State of Miami, 6 or 7 years ago. And this is the one from Pigskin Petey right here. And if you look, let's see, I'm looking in close. Alex Dono, Canes Films, Lakers Kane, which that's my boy Mondo, Marsh, Evan, Footballville, Caneville, Vish, Canes Insight, the OBB Orange Bowl boys, Canes Chief, you in Miami, it's my boy Ricky Roman. Great list. Every one of those great Miami fans. Unbelievable, super fun, crazy Miami fans. I got to pare it down to my 5. And part of mine, it's not going to be anybody on this channel, because I could easily say Brad and myself. I tend to consider myself maybe the biggest Miami fan there is in the history of the world. But there are other people that I've met through this unbelievable life journey that I can tell you are bigger Miami fans than I am, which doesn't make any sense because my life revolves around the Canes. But I'm going to try to make it where it's not a lot of people that are doing the podcast space or a lot of people. These are just going to be more fans that you may have noticed at games and everywhere else. But before we do that, let's dive in to the running back position. Look, we did quarterbacks yesterday, and I mentioned, the depth at Miami right now at quarterback is only growing. Like, it's just getting better as time goes along. And what I mean by that, how it's getting better, you're starting to get everything coming out that, you're seeing the recruits coming in and everything else. And Miami's quarterback depth, as we go along, is only going to grow. Running back is now elite. There were some times a few years back that we thought running back was going to be elite. We thought we had guys in Thaddeus Franklin who we loved, or, you had Trayon Gray who we loved, or Don Chaney Jr. who we thought was going to be absolutely fantastic. We had all of those guys, and Rooster, Jalen Knighton. We had those dudes, and you started thinking, okay, These guys are fantastic. What you have right now is elite. You're getting back to where you have NFL draftable guys on your roster. And when I break down running back for the University of Miami in the 2026 season, it starts and it ends with Mark Fletcher Jr. And I don't want to say it ends, but the number one guy is Mark Fletcher Jr. And I want you to hear what Aaron Taylor from college football had to say about Mark Fletcher and how things got better as he went along.
That's how I see the world through the O-line chubby prism, Rick. And let's talk about a guy who benefited from that.
What are you doing?
6'2", 225-pound Mark Fletcher. The running back down in Miami is the man.
Very nice.
He is a ball of butcher knives, runs physical, can play hard. And when you increase the competition, his production increased 1 for 1 into the playoffs. In fact, he's the career rushing leader in the playoffs, and he was why Miami got to and almost won the national championship last year. You got to give Alex Mirabal, Mario Cristobal credit. That offensive line is going to go there. They've upgraded.
Dude, it's about drafting a back.
Quarterback.
Well, we're not drafting an O-line, so AT needs to get this in there.
Number 4 is number 1. That's how I see the world.
Look, I have no problem with that. He is arguably the best back in the country. You can argue that Kewan Lacey is better. You know, they're talking about all these guys that Texas brought in. I know Jaden Baugh's name has come up. All those guys are good backs. You're talking about 6'2", 235 pounds, and when you needed him to be great, he was great. Texas A&M game, that wind was everywhere. The passing game was off. Carter Davis couldn't make a kick if his life depended on it. Who did you lean on? Mark Fletcher. Think about it. We get the ball back with 3 minutes left in a 3-3 ball game. What would most football teams do in that situation? They're going to go, all right, I got to get down the field and I got to score. I'm going to put the ball in Carson Beck's hands and we're going to throw it. What do we do on first down? We hand the ball to Mark Fletcher. What do we do on first down again? We hand it to Mark Fletcher. What do we do on first down again? We hand it. And then we get to third down and they go, well, they're probably going to run Fletcher again, assuming we were just going to set up a field goal and hopefully our defense would hold. No, we run the little pop pass to Malachi Tony and we go down and win. And I'll never forget the call. And I think it was Sean McDonough on the call against Texas A&M. They run the ball and they go, oh, they're going to run it. And as Fletcher's going down the sideline, they say, refusing to go down, Mark Fletcher. And I asked Fletch at ACC Media Day, I said, Fletch, I've watched this thing 50 times. He goes, me too. He goes, I've watched that play over and over and over again. And you saw Mama Fletcher in the crowd going crazy. When you start with that at running back, how can you say your room is not elite? Like, this lets you know that the room is absolutely elite when you start with somebody that's 6'2", 230 pounds. And obviously, you saw in the national title game, when he gets in the open field, he's out of there. You know, he made the Indiana game competitive. It was 10-0. I felt really bad. And then Fletch breaks off that long touchdown run, and suddenly we're back in it. And it had to do with him. You think about Ohio State game. He fumbles early, and there'd be a lot of running backs that would put their head down and struggle and maybe not play all that great. Guess what? Mark Fletcher just continued to run the football like an absolute madman. He ran over Sonny Styles. I heard that stupid stat for 10 days. Sonny Styles has not had a single player break a tackle on him. And then Fletcher ran his ass over and left him like a lawn dart sitting at midfield as he continued to run down the field. The play design that Shannon Dawson had where Carson Beck acts like he's going to run a QB power and then flips it out to Mark Fletcher, you had that. It was great to see. He was fantastic in the Ole Miss game. He was great in the Indiana game. You start with that, you've got a great running back room. What I love about this year's group is you've got kind of backs that can do everything. So Mark can be the big power guy. He could be the guy that runs everybody over. He can do all of those different things, run away from you as well. But when you look, you obviously will see something that's going on when you have different players. And here's Mark Fletcher. Where was this at? This was at the basketball game, or this was the highlight package that they put together for Big Fletch. So you watch him and you see him, and I've said multiple times, he might be a better person off the field than he is on the field, and it's ridiculous because he's an unbelievable player on the field. But when you start your room with that, and then I think you have the perfect complement with 3 other type of backs that can get things done. Marty Brown's not going to run away from anybody, but guess what? Marty Brown will make you miss in a phone booth. I saw it against Notre Dame when you needed him to pick up first downs. He continued to do that. You saw it late in the Ohio State game. They bring in Marty Brown to salt it away, which means Mario Cristobal's got to have unbelievable trust in him. And think about the catch he makes against Ohio State. It's 17-14. You're driving to try to put the game away. It's a 3rd and 3, and they just run a quick route to Marty Brown, and he makes a shoestring catch, picks up the first down. You ultimately walk down the field and you score a touchdown, and you salt it away 24-14. Think about what happens if he doesn't come up with that catch. You punt. Now, your defense probably ends up getting the stop anyway because they had Julian Sayin on Dream Street that entire night. But Marty Brown became that perfect complement for everything that you were looking for in the backup running back. One of our super fans may have just shown up on that video. Just telling you, one of the top 5 guys may have been on that video. He's on every single video. Anytime you see Mario Cristobal after a game, one of our guys on there will absolutely be there. So you think about that. Marty becomes a perfect complement. Injuries actually helped you get a guy to stick around and become a part of this, and that's Gerard Pringle. He brings something that neither one of the top 2 backs bring, and that is he's like a Ferrari. He's 0 to 60 in no time flat. And you saw in those last 4 games starting, I think it was Syracuse, he ended up starting the game because Fletcher was hurt and maybe Marty Brown was not starting. But Pringle became a guy that can give you some different things. I think you use him some this year in the screen game. I think you use him some this year when it comes to the wheel route game. Get him in space and let him absolutely run. That's what you get with Gerard Pringle. Now, obviously, with Pringle, you got nervous for a moment because he entered the portal right after the season. You go, oh, no. And the rumor was there were some big-time SEC programs that were offering up a nice amount of cash to get Gerard Pringle to come and maybe be their number 1 back. But I think Pringle saw the fact that you're loaded, your national title potential good. Why would you want to leave this? And knowing that Fletcher and Brown potentially could be gone after. I know Fletcher will definitely be gone, and I believe Brown will be gone as well. So you're going to have a chance next year to be that number 1 guy. And if you see some of the highlights here, he makes one guy miss, and he's to the Bahaski. Like, he's out of there. There's no catching this dude. He's small, but he's strong as all get out. He's got unbelievable hands, and he's going to give Miami something that they haven't had in a little while with that kind of explosiveness. He reminds me a little bit of Duke Johnson, the way that he runs the ball. I know Duke was a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, but the way that he makes that first cut and makes that first guy miss, and then it's kind of off to the races from there. Now you go a little bit further. You have a 4th running back, and I know he's dealing with some legal troubles right now. Jordan Lyle will be a part of this equation. And I think what a lot of people forget when you talk about Jordan Lyle is the fact that he started the Notre Dame game last year. He was the number 1 back coming out of fall camp. He was the guy that took the first snap with the first team offense a year ago. And then unfortunately injuries kicked in, and then Fletcher and Brown and Pringle really, even when Lyle was getting back healthy, they were not relinquishing the job in any form or fashion. So when you look at that top 4, I've argued with everybody that is the number 1 running back room in the entire country. Like, there's second to none. Everybody else might have 1 good back, 2 good backs. You're not going to have 4 good backs. And here's Jordan Lyle from a couple of years ago against South Florida. This is what people forget about how good this kid is. He makes 1 cut left, and then he just runs away from people. But he's a little bit bigger than Gerard Pringle. So think about the problems that you have, you know, if you're trying to get ready for these backs. And this goes back to our conversation from 2 days ago when we brought up the Doak Walker Award. And I said, hey, there's a potential that Mark Fletcher's not going to win the award. He's just not going to get enough attempts to get that done. Like, that's going to be part of the problem, is he's not going to get enough attempts to get it done because you have all of these other guys. So now you can kind of time and situation how you want people. Fletch could be your first quarter, I'm going to bruise and batter you. Marty Brown could be your early second quarter, I'm going to make you miss. Now all of a sudden you start to go to the home run hitters of Gerard Pringle and obviously Jordan Lyle. And then you've got the young guys and Javion Mallory and Wheatley Humphrey and all these other guys that are going to be sitting, waiting their turn. And this is where you hope against Stanford and early season against Central Michigan and other teams that some of these young guys can get out there and play ball. These are going to be the type of games where you want to get these guys all the action that you can get to have different dudes make plays. Running game is going to be impossible to stop. And remember, again, last year, you had people inside the box because they didn't feel Miami could stretch the field. Like, that's literally what I have to say. Andrew, what's up, man? Hello from Benny and the boys. By the way, if you're not watching Benny and the boys right here on Caneswear TV, you are missing out on Canes Gold. Look, I am a giant fan, and anytime I've got to talk to, I met Benny Blades at an FSU game a couple of years ago. It was awesome. Anytime I've got to talk to Tolbert Bain or Santana Moss or any of these guys like that, I just sit back as a fan and go, oh my God, these are the guys from my childhood that I absolutely loved. And that's what Benny and the boys are giving you right now. It's stories. It was Rohan Marley. It's Tolbert Bain. Andrew doing a great job on there as well. You know, Benny telling stories. That's what Canes family and this university is all about. The greats from the past, we give them all the recognition that we want. We let them tell the stories because guess what? Their stories still hold true today. Green Tree is where dogs are made. It's where these guys went out and beat the ever-loving crap out of each other to become fantastic players. So you saw that, and it became great. So that's what the running back room looks like for now. I wanted to get into something. I saw a comment pop up earlier about the injunction that happened, the temporary restraining order that happened in Louisiana, the temporary order that happened in Louisiana. And here's what Howard had to say. College football is going to change 1 billion% with this new rule that players could come back from the NFL for a fifth year. We got to find a tight end from there. Now, becomes really dicey for me because I am not in favor of this at all. I'm not in favor of this at all. Like literally not one single bit. I think first and foremost, and I don't get into politics. You'll never hear me talk political because I honestly don't give a damn. Court systems getting in the way of college football is going to screw up the game that we love. And this temporary restraining order or temporary injunction they put out there, I think is absolutely ridiculous because didn't Tennessee just have a player suspended? Cliff, what's up, dude? How you doing? Didn't Tennessee just have a player suspended for 2 years for wanting to go to the draft, but he was injured, but he hired an agent and bought him a plane ticket. And all of a sudden, he's suspended for 2 games. And I said right then, I said, the NCAA is so full of crap. It pisses me off to no end that you got a guy like Charlie Baker up here in his ivory tower making like $5.5 million a year, and he has absolutely no power over anything. Like they literally just go, ooh, this guy got an improper benefit. We're going to go after him. Yet you have the court circumventing anything the NCAA says, to where, again, we had the Brendan Sorsby situation. And I think truly if Texas A&M or Texas Tech, wouldn't have had all the backlash on Brendan Sorsby, he'd be their starting quarterback right now. But all the backlash and people wanting to pull out of games with them, I think they realized we had to get rid of that. But what that pointed out, and I'll get to my point right here, the NCAA is almost powerless. And for people to circumvent this and now say, hey, we want to allow guys, because we put this new 5-and-5 rule, which, by the way, I'm in favor of that rule. We put this new 5-and-5 rule place, but we're now going to make it retroactive. There was like 15 to 20 kids. And I know Malik Renew is doing that on our basketball team, so I'm a little hypocritical of this. But football is different right now because we have games kicking off a week from Saturday. How in the hell will you tell me that a player, and I'll use Jack Pyburn, for example, because he's a guy that is on an NFL roster, signed a 3-year, $3 million deal, by the way. He has gone through rookie mini camps, OTAs, and is now a couple of weeks into NFL training camp. And you mean to tell me if this kid wants to go back to school, you're going to allow him to go back to school because a court system in Louisiana said this is okay? And it brings me to an interesting dilemma with Miami because Daquan Wright, one of the kids that's out there that's available, and Pyburn is somebody who Miami recruited years ago before he chose Florida and then ultimately moved to LSU. You know, think about it. We lost a guy on the edge in Hayden Lowe. Would you want to kick the tires on somebody like Jack Pyburn? Could he come in and play off the edge for us? Yeah, he probably could, especially going through, again, NFL training camp and OTAs and everything else. But what does that tell the guys on your roster? If you go out and you bring a professional player back in, because I'm going to tell you, if I'm in the room and just say we bring Pyburn in, I'm in the room and I'm Marquise Lightfoot or I'm, Damon Wilson or I'm any of these guys that you have put out there and you say, wait a second, now we're going to bring a guy from pro football to come in here. You're telling me I'm not good enough. Now, I know some people have said we need tight end, and that maybe could be true, although I am a believer in Elijah Lofton. I think Elijah is set up to have a really big year this year, specifically because you're going to have all these different guys sitting out there, dealing with Malachi Tony and Cooper Barkate and all of these other things. I have an issue bringing in outsiders, but Daquan Wright, he's the kid for Ole Miss that all of a sudden we couldn't cover at tight end. He had the touchdown that they thought won them the semifinals until Carson Beck went down there and ripped their little rebel hearts out. Would he be somebody that fits in there? And Cliff, I agree with you. It's getting out of control. It's not even it is out of control. I have raised my hand 1,000 times on local radio. I have talked to people of the College Football Playoff Committee, Rich Clark, who's the chairman. And I said, dude, I want to be in charge of this. I'm probably not smart enough. My education doesn't go from there. And Howard says, Miami needs to get with the program, get left behind, watch us lose a playoff game or a championship game because of a player that got an extra year. Look, Indiana's already done it. They brought 2 guys back. Stephen Daly, remember, he's the kid that ultimately gets hurt before the championship game. He got hurt in the Big Ten title game, running around high-fiving fans. He ended up jacking up his leg. He's coming back. They brought another guy back in. So I get what you're saying, but I'd like to think I trust in Mario Cristobal, in this staff, and the development that we've had where we don't have to do that. And remember, it's only going to be this year. This is not happening after this year. They're trying to go retro. I guess it's back to the class of 2022, guys that are going to have that opportunity. It's going to be a one-time only thing. And then we're going to go to 5-5 and let that be it. Until those routes go beyond 6 yards, I have to see it. Look, have some faith. Those routes are going to be fine this year. You got a dude that's going to throw the football down the field in Darian Mensah. But the point to all of that, college football has changed. Does Miami need to adapt or not? I say no, because I think our talent is good enough. Now, Wesley Basaint wanted to come back. Okay, different. He's been on our team. He knows the system. He knows everything that needs to happen. He knows Corey Heatherman. He knows Mario Cristobal. If he was the type of guy that could come back, I'd bring him back. What was our tight end a year ago that missed the block? Alex Bauman. He's not welcome back. Sorry, Alex, you're a Cane, but if you don't learn how to block on punts, I'm really good on you coming back. Those are the only kind of guys I would welcome back, somebody that's been in our system. But it will be fascinating to see, does somebody pick up a Pyburn or a Daquan Wright? There was another wide receiver for Ole Miss that may go back to Ole Miss. Like, there were 15 or 16 different guys that could be out there. Howard also says, he said, let's be honest, Damon Wilson is a little bit of a red flag against the run. Jack is going to be is not being over or bringing him over. Look, Jack could be different against the run. You might be right. But again, I'm going to trust Jason Taylor. I'm going to trust Mario Cristobal. I'm going to trust Corey Heatherman. I watched them get a lot of stuff there. Mario gets tight after anything goes wrong offensively. He prefers the A's gap his way through a college football season. Well, let's hear from our guy, Shannon Dawson. Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator at the University of Miami, had a chance yesterday to sit down and have conversation about what the offense could look like this upcoming year. Remember, I said yesterday, we went from Cam Ward, RPO, up-tempo, throwing it all over the place, much more conservative last year. Here's what Coach Dawson had to say.
Excited about that. I mean, we probably stretched the field as much as I have. I'm excited about, our ability to play fast and to be explosive, and I think, ultimately that starts with running the ball effectively. I don't think you can be explosive if you don't run the ball well. And our running back room is very loaded, and we're going to lean on those guys like we've done really every year. And so at times, like, we're going to ride those guys, and so, but with that, if you run the ball well, obviously people have to play people down to stop the run. I think that's when you get explosive. And so it's got to be compatible in that sense. And we are. Now, you also have to have the guys to do it. We do. We have some speed. We have some length. And the one thing that Mensah does he throws a really good deep ball. Like, he throws an elite deep ball. And so I feel good about stretching the field, but ultimately excited about that.
Well, there you go. So he's excited about stretching the field. It's everything we've talked about on this program already in the first couple of days of State of Miami Live. Again, don't forget, like and subscribe right now. Caneswear TV. Go ahead and download the Caneswear app. You can download the app. You're going to get 10% off your order over at Caneswear. There'll be articles up there. There'll be all kinds of different stuff that we're going to put there. But on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to Caneswear TV. We're going to bring you the best coverage all year long with everything Canes wear. Look, I'm going to be as positive I can. And I see some of the comments on here about explosiveness and get some tempo, diversity in the run game. You could be explosive without the run game. Mike Leach proved that. Look, I don't disagree, but one thing I will say, Mario has an identity. When I talked to Mario at ACC Media Days, he said, remember, we are a power running team that has the ability to throw the ball down the field. So, yes, there are going to be times that the coach's personality is going to overrun what Shannon Dawson wants to do, but that's kind of the way Mario wants to do things. He opened it up when we had to. After the SMU game, I think they realized, hey, we've got to do some different stuff. We've got to diversify. You saw some of the trick plays and some of the other things that they did there, getting the running backs the ball out in space, letting Malachi Toney throw the ball. I think this year they may have a little bit more trust in Mensah, and you'll see some of that. But I'm with you. I want it to be open. I remember the Syracuse game. We were sitting there calling it A-gap for life. You know, people were making T-shirts and everything else, so we saw that. But now is the time that everybody was waiting for. Everybody wants to know who I have as my top 5 Miami fans. And again, this is going to annoy a bunch of people. And it's not meant to annoy you. It's meant to be, for me, like guys that I've interacted with that might be crazier than I am when it comes to University of Miami fans. Now, I'm going to give you a couple that just missed the list. They just missed it. And these are guys I give a ton of props to because they travel a lot of places to see the game. Dolphin Derek, unbelievable fan. Travels, I think he lives in Lakeland. So he's making that drive. Him and his son Ethan are making that drive multiple times a year and does an unbelievable job like that. So he's down. He's traveling all over the country. If I'm not mistaken, he works for Publix, so he's got a pretty good job and pension and all that good stuff. But Derek's a fantastic dude. He just missed the list. My boy Ryan Pittman, Dirty Bird. Dirty Bird, if you watch the Cane Gang radio show and listen to them on Sirius XM channel 145, same thing. He lives in like Fort Myers. So that's a 2-hour plus drive every time for Bird. He's down there as much as he can. He's got a really tough job that he travels the country for. He's an unbelievable dude. If you haven't interacted with Bird, he's right there. And then Polk came. My guy Polk coming all the way down from Polk County. Him and his wife will come. Fantastic dude. He's in and out and about everywhere. So those 3 just missed the list. And this is not disparaging any of them. This is just going to be my list. And I think some of it has to do with how maniac they are during the games, how fun they are. But number 5 for me is going to be Ricky the Prince. Ricky, he goes by You in Miami on social media. If you've ever interacted with Ricky during a game, he is the most passionate, crazy son of a gun that you will ever meet as far as being a Miami fan. Ricky will be, I think he's been kicked out of Hard Rock Stadium 4 or 5 times. He's been escorted out of there. Even in the bad days, like he is just an absolute maniac. And he's such a fun dude. He's actually a really good guy if you ever get to meet him. I've hung out with him at a bunch of tailgates and everything else. His entire timeline is University of Miami related. So coming in at number 5 is going to be our guy, Ricky the Prince. And the rumor is they used him on the video game. Like literally that is him, his image from the video game. That's from college football. That is actually Ricky in the video game. So he comes in at number 5. Number 4 for me, and he will tell you he doesn't belong on this list because he's not as lifelong Miami fan as all the rest of it, although he is lifelong. He just doesn't have quite the history as my stupid brain, but it's my guy Mondo. Lakers Canes 305, one of the most genuine human beings ever. Him and his wife will welcome anybody to a tailgate. If they're tailgating, they will welcome you in. Mondo and I text every day, and it's funny. Him and I became friends via social media, like literally via. I never met the dude a day in my life. We used to tweet back and forth. I met him at the 2018 North Carolina game. I somehow snuck him into the box that I was in, and we ended up hanging out, and we've ended up being really, really good friends. Super passionate, season ticket holder. Got a chance to go to Texas last year for the college football playoff game. Him and I hung out for the national championship game. But he's just a genuine dude, and he lives and breathes and loves Miami maybe more than anybody else. But Mondo is absolutely my dude. He comes in at number 4. Number 3, and this one's going to be controversial because I think a lot of people on social media have a love-hate relationship with my guy, X in 305. X, Xavier, is that dude. If you've ever been in the old blue lot, and I don't even know what the hell the lot's called in today's day and age, but if you've ever been over there with X and Xavier, he puts on the best tailgate. He's going to have 3 DJs. He's going to have 3 or 4 tents. He's going to charge you $20, and you are going to have unlimited food. And his Perry wings are second to none. I know he's part of Footballville and Caneville, but he's just that guy. So I got Xavier X coming in at number 3 on my top 5 Miami fans. And Mondo, I see your comment, number 4. Brother, I should have you at number 1 because you're my boy. You're probably my closest friend of anybody in this Canes Nation. But X is welcome in literally from my mother to my friends in Georgia to my son to my wife. You name it, X. If you go over to X, you dap him up. Hey, man, I want to get in on the tailgate. He's going to get you a raffle ticket. He's going to get you whatever you need, and you're going to eat it. You're going to eat some great food. You're going to have good times. We're going to be doing shots. You know, there's just Wesley's over there and Kappa Kane and like all the guys that hang out. And people think X is a jerk on social media, and he may be a little bit. He might be because he's going to come across and say exactly what he's on his mind, but he's an unbelievable Miami fan. Coming in at number 2, and it's tough to figure out who number 2 and number 1 are, but it's JD the Boss. If you know JD, you'll see his motivational stuff on social media. Yo. JD's always going to come out with his stuff. He is at every game. He is going to be in the front row. He is there for basketball. He is there for baseball. I think if we had lacrosse.
Yo.
There you go. Every video starts the same.
Listen, dog.
But that's who JD is. He is a genuine dude. Like genuine dude. And he loves Miami, I think, even more than I do. I don't know how the hell he gets his seats everywhere. I don't know how he does that, but JD comes in at number 2 on my list for the top fans here everywhere. And JD is awesome. Another one that if you walk by, he'll give you the shirt off his back. People have such a misconception of Miami fans that we're all jerks and jackasses, everything else. That's just me. You run into me at a game and you're an opposing fan, I can't promise that I'm going to be friendly to you. I'll dap you up after we whoop your ass on the field. But pregame, I'm talking trash to everybody. And then number 1 on the list, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow, it's Derek Coe. It's DC. And I know he's one that does the Cane Gang radio show. But if you see any video where Mario Cristobal's walking off the field, DC is going to be the guy that he daps up. Like literally Derek is going to be the guy that he daps up. All the players know him. I have an idea how everybody knows him. He's an electrician. I think he owns his own electrician business. And there you go. Mario is always going to dap him up. He's got the unbelievable seats down on the field. He travels everywhere, whether it was Syracuse, whether it's the college football playoffs. You know, I told you he's worth like $75 million, give or take, but he loves Miami. He might be the only person that loves Miami more than I do. Him and JD, this whole list, I think they all love him more than I do. But Coe is number 1. He's another dude. He literally, when they do Cane Walk, Coe is lined up before the buses even pull up. He's got his corner and he stands in the spot. He's going to dap up players and all the parents know him and everything else. So that's my top 5 list. I know there's going to be no controversy with that. None whatsoever. There's not going to be controversy with who the top 5 fans are. But the way that I've got it listed, number 5, Ricky the Prince. Number 4, Mondo. Number 3, X is 305. Number 2, JD the Boss. And number 1, Derek Coe. Speaking of Coe, he'll be on the show tomorrow. Remember, like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And Steve Kim should probably be on there. I should probably be on there. Brad Tejeda. Like, I could go down a list of 100 people the Canes chief had on there. All of you guys should be on there. We appreciate you watching today. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, go Canes.